Welcome to the Raven Space on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We are reacting to the press conference from Isiah Likely. Again, we are 2 weeks away from the season starting, so this probably will be the last Likely press conference before the start of the season. So let's get into it. Oh, this might be
Isiah,
quick.
obviously you've had a really strong preseason. How excited are you now to know that you guys are turning the page and going to be focusing on the Jets in week one, playing for real?
I'm very excited. I mean, I come out to practice like every day is a game. So just, critiquing myself day in and day out and just being where my feet are and learning every day, being a sponge is going to prepare me for what's soon to come.
What did your phone look like after that game against Arizona?
It was buzzing. I mean, from family to friends to, my old college, everybody was just proud of me and saying, like, we always knew what you could do, but I'm on to the next page.
And so, again, shout out to Likely. We got to remember, sometimes we like to just like kind of push all of the players into like one football player basket. But remember that his experience is much different than other players' experiences because he went to a small school. And so while he was probably the popular kid in school, he wasn't like Lamar, who was like the most famous person, in that area, right? Isiah Likely couldn't go to bars and get everything for free. Couldn't go to the restaurants and get everything for free. Lamar Jackson could, right? Lamar Jackson is going to have a statue, right, at his alma mater. So, so even though they're all football players, it's a big deal to be a small school guy, probably got looked over by the bigger schools, and then get onto the national stage. And, in your first games, you are looking awesome, right? You're looking awesome. And it's kind of like, it makes your friends and family say, hey, shoo, I bet you if Alabama had you, they might not have lost to Georgia. Or, hey, shoo, I bet you if, Michigan had you, they might have had a chance, things like that. So shout out to Isiah. I'm super happy for him. And hopefully it keeps on going.
Do you feel like it's going to be, that people talk about the game speeding up? You've never experienced a regular season. Are you anticipating that? And I guess how do you prepare yourself for that?
Yeah, I anticipate, but that's just all of coming to practice and showing the ones that, if I can do it against my defense, I can do it against anybody's defense. So just doing what I do in game and practice, consistency is going to have the game be that much easier for myself.
Isiah, as far as like the open field,
100% agree with his assessment there. And again, a good game for Isiah Likely in this offense is 3 catches, 50 yards, 3 catches, 40 yards. How much are you expecting him to do, right? So, he's not the number 2 receiving option, right? It will be Mark Andrews, but then we are expecting our receivers like Bateman to step up too, Prochet to step up, and then we're going to run the ball a lot. So he doesn't have a lot to do to be successful, in my opinion, and the scheme overall. And again, if he can just take some pressure off of Mark, that's a job right there in itself that, would be awesome. So.
the yak and breaking tackles and stuff, you guys aren't hitting out here. Was it kind of good for you to be able to show that ability in somewhat of a real game?
Yeah, I mean, just showing that my game's not done at the catch point; it's done after the catch. And just showing that I'm consistent, whether it's a 5-yard hitch where I can go for 30 yards or if it's a 30-yard bomb where I can take it to the house. It's just showing that consistency in and out.
I think Greg Olson during the broadcast of the Arizona game said something like, I wish my coordinators had called all these different route combinations for me when I was a tight end. Does Greg have, I know you can only really compare it to college, but the number of different routes that you can run and how sophisticated it is for tight ends, did that kind of blow your mind when you first saw it?
It did at first, and then you get out to practice and you see Mark Andrews and you see what he does in the offense, and it just shows like when you have a playmaker like Mark, it's hard to stay away from the playbook when you get in game. So as much as I can, I try to be a sponge when I see Mark on the field and try to pick his brain as much as possible. So in game, I already have his thoughts mixed with my thoughts, and it's a dangerous combination.
Oh boy. Oh boy. That answer was the right answer 1,000%. And it made me happy. Made my heart jump for a little bit of joy there. The kid is ready. I can't wait to see him in game one. I think he's going to be awesome. I think he's going to have a couple of plays just set out for them right there. And he gets one-on-ones. And so he's gonna dominate if the Ravens want to feed him the ball. And so I'm excited if he's really saying what he's saying and doing what he's saying. Picking Mark's brain, definitely connecting with Lamar, because Mark and Lamar are already on the same page. And so if we have two of those receivers on the same page, it's gonna be nasty. Boy, it's gonna be nasty.
How much more confidence was it that the third preseason game you weren't dressed for?
It a little blessing off my shoulders. I mean, just gave me a jump start on looking at the New York Jets and just being able to like really connect with my teammates and encourage them on the sideline, because at the end of the day, they're all my brothers.
Isiah, when we asked Mark about you earlier, he made sure to throw in that you are a willing blocker. As you work on that part of your game, which you probably weren't as known for coming out of college, what are maybe the details that you're focused on the most to get better in that area?
Really just steps and hand placement, and really just taking the same aggression I have in the passing game towards the run game to be able to have the passing game a lot more easier. Because if they don't know whether it's run and pass while you're in the game, it's very dangerous, especially for his offense.
Isiah, as far as
And before we get to the next question there, I want to pause, right? So he didn't say this, but I know this is happening. The same way he's learning about being a pass catching receiver from Mark Andrews, there's no way Nick Boyle is not in this man's ear, right? And saying, hey, this is how you be a premier blocker in the league as well. So you have Mark Andrews teaching you, have Nick Boyle teaching you. I mean, that's the best of both worlds. This could be dangerous combination for years to come. And I'm excited for it. It could be dangerous. And we see how, the punt game is going right now when we have Sam, retiring and becoming a coach and just passing that knowledge on. Well, Mark and Nick can do that, but they're still playing. So it's going to be dangerous, man. It's going to be dangerous.
Finding ways to get open and finding the holes. Has that always come naturally for you, or have you learned things over the years to make yourself better in that area?
I'd say a little bit of both. I mean, getting screamed at in practice a couple times will obviously do it at a young age. Just trying new things day in and day out. And then when you get in game, you're already prepped on what you can and can't do. So just find the holes and then going about them differently when the next time comes around. So the defense is always on their toes.
Isiah, you did well in the preseason games with Snoop as the quarterback. You practiced with Lamar. How would you describe catching his passes, running the offense with Lamar? Because we haven't seen it in a game, although you've done that.
I say it's a blend of both. I mean, they're both fantastic quarterbacks. But out here in practice, you could just see really the differences in the swagger that both of them bring. I mean, Snoop's just a great quarterback, and we were clicked in tandem, playing and play out. And when I come out here and practice, me and Lamar probably still have some fine tuning to do because I'm still a rookie and this is his offense. So just, picking his brain as much as possible and picking Mark's as well, because their connection is just undeniably great. So just hearing the things I could do after practice with Lamar to be on tandem the same way.
Hey, listen, guys, I don't watch these beforehand. I said the same thing. Listen, hey, hit that like button, throw some likes in the chat. You feel me?
We've heard from a lot of different rookies over the years that they walk into a locker room or on the practice field and it hits them because they see a certain guy. I'm in the NFL. Is Lamar that guy, or has there been any of those guys strike you in that way?
Definitely Lamar. I'd probably say that because in Madden, you play with Lamar and you see him do all the things in Madden that you can do with scrambling out of the pocket, running downhill, outrunning DBs, and then you get out here in practice and he's doing the same exact thing. So it's definitely something that's just a blessing in disguise.
You didn't really obviously play with Mark in games during the preseason. How much are you looking forward to that, and how much might that combination being together help you guys be able to help each other?
You said Mark?
Mark Andrews.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's going to be fantastic. I mean, in practice, we definitely have our days where we're just on clicking every play in and play out, and there's obviously days where we got to fine tune some things. But I felt like for the most part, we play off of each other. And as much as I can help him and as much as he can help me, that's definitely going to be a win for the offense at the end of the day.
Isiah, that coastal offense last year was one of the more creative offenses in the entire country. But just coming from a system like that to something that's a little bit more unique, like what you have here in Baltimore, has that helped ease your transition in any way?
I felt like the role I played in the Coastal Carolina offense had helped me a lot for the Ravens offense, just because I wasn't your traditional inline tight end. I was everywhere. So coming to the Ravens offense where I'm kind of the same thing, it definitely helps because it lets me be me in this offense, and it just lets me do what I do and helps the team as much as possible.
All right, thank you.
Awesome. Again, I really enjoyed that press conference. That might have been one of my favorite ones of the year so far. It was, the answers were beautiful. I think that he really has a chance to be special. That last question I do want to talk about because it kind of goes to the magic of the Ravens and the way they draft and what they do. And so just to find a tight end that is basically, he did in college what Mark Andrews does in the NFL, but on, of course, a college level, right? If you watch the film on Isiah, he's lined up everywhere. Everywhere. And, you know, very similar, again, how the Patriots also used Gronk back in the day when Gronk was, you know, younger, where, you know, every now and then, the difference between him and Gronk, of course, that when Gronk was in the inline, he was blowing linebackers up. And so he can really block. Likely can't do that. But Likely would play there. But then also, sometimes they would have Likely just out as the receiver number one and, you know, have him run routes against safeties. And sometimes corners, but mostly safeties out there. So again, it was a great press conference. I really enjoyed it. Let me know if you guys liked it. Let me know what you guys think of Isiah Likely. If he's going to be a beast, let me know in the comments below. Thank you guys so much, and go Ravens.